Empowering Voices, the podcast of the Cornwall Federation of WIs. We are Avril and Tracy, and today we are joined by Mary Lindsey of the Environment and Public Affairs Subcommittee and also a Climate Ambassador.
Oh, hi Mary, thanks ever so much for coming along and joining us. Avril and I were really pleased to have the opportunity to watch a screening of the emergency briefing film that was held at Shineworth in May, and we felt it tells a very, very sobering message. You presented the film to us viewers, and we wondered if you could share with the listeners what the message is in a nutshell.
Yes, certainly. I suppose one of the things that really struck me from the film was when the person talking about the weather said that the climate that we are experiencing now is the least extreme that we will experience in our lifetime. And I think that's a really memorable phrase, because we know that the extremes will be more severe, they're going to be more frequent, and this is going to impact on every aspect of our lives, our safety, food security, water, health, biodiversity, national security. Basically, it's going to have a huge impact in the future, and we need to know what to do to reduce the severity of it and also to adapt and build the resilience of our community. So I think that's the main message, that it's telling you there's bad things to come, but there's lots we can do about it if we act now.
I'm sure our listeners would like to hear how the film came about in the first place, Mary.
Yeah, sure. It started in November last year in Westminster. There was a talk arranged from 10 top experts, national experts, and they invited, I think it was 1,200 politicians, business leaders, faith leaders, people who've got influence about things that happen in our country. And they came to listen, and it was called a national emergency briefing. And there were experts talking on weather, on the climate, and something called tipping points, when things sort of reach the point of no return, food security, health, biodiversity, energy, national security, and the economy. They were the main things. And as I say, it was called the National Emergency Briefing. You can actually listen to the whole thing on the National Emergency Briefing website. It's very impactful and scary in places, and it makes it very sobering listening if you listen to the originals. But at the same time, it does give clear guidance on what we can do to prevent the worst from happening. And the emphasis is on action and doing something about it. So anyway, they had this briefing in November, and then it was concluded that if we were going to deal with this as a country, the public needed to be made aware of it and to understand and support the things that needed to happen. And that every level of society needed to be doing something about it. And as the government wasn't doing this, an edited version was made, and this is what the People's Emergency Briefing is. It's an edited version of those talks that were given at Westminster. And it's called the People's Emergency Briefing. It's 50 minutes long, and at the beginning, the harsh facts are very well presented about weather, climate and tipping points, but the next talks are all about the impact. But it's done so that they actually, after each one, they put members of the public are interviewed as to how that affected them and what that they thought about it. And so it does give you a very broad view of what this might mean in the future. And it felt that it was very important to show the film in a supportive environment, where there were sort of opportunities for local action. So although it's made available to communities and businesses and other organisations, you can't actually get it until you've identified the date and where you're going to show it, and then they will send it to you with facilitation guidance. So it's not available to individuals. It's just felt that it's got to be done in a group, both from the point of view of being supportive and to encourage people to do something about it. So we actually have a sort of process for that, of facilitation. So it's not just showing a film, it's actually having the small groups afterwards. And it's already been screened throughout the country now, nearly 2,000 times in different places, and in Cornwall even about 40 screenings are either happened or about to happen. There's a lot going on.
Mm. And I have to say, I mean, you are right. There was scary information, you know. It does really make you think about things, and I think, you know, I could actually understand why it had to be facilitated so carefully. We were lucky to get the chance to listen to see it at Shine Hour. If any WIs are listening to this, you know, anybody from a WI is listening to this, or anybody from any you know, that's part of another organisation, wants to arrange a screening, is there a sort of like a process to going about arranging that, Mary?
Oh yes, certainly. I mean, it's all on the National Emergency Briefing website, which is nebriefing.org. If you go to that website, it's just full of information about how to arrange it. There's a map on there which shows all the screenings, where they're already taking place, where they're planned, and there's all the facilitation guidance. And as I say, you can look at the original ones as well. There's loads of information. So it's just a matter then, there's actually a section where you can sort of log in and book the film. And so that's the easiest way. But also, if people aren't sure about how to do that, or if they want any support in doing that, then the climate ambassadors, we're always willing to help and support. And if people need a facilitator because they're not confident about facilitating it, then I'm quite happy to do that. I've already facilitated. I did one in Weybridge this week, which was run by the community agriculture scheme there, community growing scheme, and the Betcham and Bells came and did the refreshments. So it was a really nice event with lots of community action afterwards. So as I say, it's quite simple to get the screening organised. It's just a matter of finding a venue and advertising it.
Oh, that's really, it's so interesting. I mean, in the light that we've had 2 very hot spells in the UK, and we're probably going to have another one by the sounds of it, I think this message is really more important. I mean, I presume that these hot spells are related to the climate change. Is this
yes.
so, Mary?
Yeah. I mean, well, for years, climate scientists have predicted that exactly this is going to be happening. They've said heat waves are going to be more severe, occur more frequently, it's going to escalate. And it's a bit like the storms, you know, Storm Goretti we had this year. It's a devastating impact on West Cornwall. But I mean, I'm a retired doctor, and I sometimes think of it like, in a way, climate breakdown is the disease, and the heat waves and the storms and everything else are the symptoms, if you like. You know, they show that it's happening. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it.
I think that is actually very, very true. And we sort of go into a bit of a mode of panic, don't we, when we think what we're going to do. I mean, particularly I think with animals, I'm thinking about my dog in the heat and everything. But yes, it is quite worrying about different things, I think. No, that's really interesting. I think I read that all the chemicals and that are actually, although I thought it was a bit far-fetched, first of all, is forming like a dome, so it doesn't let the heat out. It's not a dome as we imagine it, but sort of some sort of, I suppose, chemical type dome in the sky that is not allowing our heat out now with all the chemicals. I don't know if you heard anything about that. I read it in a BBC report.
Right. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it in terms of chemicals, but yes, I mean, basically you get a heat dome set up over an area, and I mean, in this case, it's sort of all over Europe, the last one, wasn't it? And the hot air gets trapped in it, and it can't sort of follow the normal circulation to sort of wash it out, if you like. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's really complicated, the science of all of this. It's very difficult. I think this is one of the reasons people find it difficult to get their head around climate change, because people talk in terms of, you know, molecules of CO2 and parts per million and of carbon dioxide, and it doesn't mean much to most people as far as the chemistry and the physics of it.
I suppose we're thinking of gases, aren't we? When I said chemicals, I probably it was probably in my mind gases, really.
Yeah.
Gases that get trapped and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And there's another nice phrase in the film that how does it go? The physics doesn't pay any attention to the politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's based on basic physics, basically. Well, no, it's based on complex physics, I suppose you would say.
And really, it's like been hundreds of years in the making. Although I think, if I remember rightly, the film did actually show that these issues have just accelerated so quickly in the last few decades. Really, am I remembering that right?
Well, yeah, since the Industrial Revolution. I mean, basically what the film says is we have had a very stable climate throughout most of human civilization. Prior to 80,000 years ago, things were sort of pretty unstable, but over human civilization, it's been very stable. And then since the Industrial Revolution, which is why we know it's to do with carbon dioxide and fossil fuel burning, the levels of carbon dioxide have shot up. I mean, if you look at the graph, it's just incredibly steep. And of course, the carbon dioxide traps, well, a particular sort of carbon dioxide traps heat. And that's basically the basis of it. And some people like to pretend that carbon is a good thing. And of course, carbon's a good thing in the right way, in the right quantities, in the right place. But in this way, it is certainly not a good thing.
Yeah. I must admit, obviously, Avra and I have, are waxing lyrical about, what we thought about the film. What other feedback did you get following the screening, Mary?
Well, it's quite a lot. I mean, nearly everyone says, "Oh my God, I didn't really quite realise it was going to be like this." And the very strong reaction is, well, everybody ought to know. Why doesn't everyone know? And that's why we're trying to get the screening out just to as many people as possible, because you can't deal with a problem if you don't understand it, and you don't know what it is you're trying to deal with, and if you don't know what options you've got to deal with it. And the film sort of explains the options as well. So it does actually empower people. And most people seem to have been empowered by it. I mean, at Weybridge this week, they very much wanted to act. I asked the audience to put their hands up if they wanted to sort of get to do more about it and to do something in their community about it. And I would think the majority of hands went up. And they do want to meet again. And some of them said they'd like to see the film again just to remember it all. But there was an enormous amount of enthusiasm about, we need to pull together and we need to do something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this, when you say about seeing the film again, I think it's something that I would like to do. And it's a bit like reading a really, really, really good book, that you really enjoy, but you enjoy it so much, but you sort of like rush through it to find out what happens at the end. And I think it would be the same if I saw the film again. I would watch it and it would mean even more to me. So it's good to know as well how if I'm with a group of people who are also interested in seeing the film, we can arrange to do that. So thank you for that, Mary.
Yeah.
What three things would you recommend that anyone listening to us and that would, they could do to address climate change in themselves and the WI really? What's your biggest recommendation?
I think the first thing is to be well informed about what you're dealing with. And so either get to a screening or arrange one, or watch the original talks on the National Emergency Briefing website. I mean, they are 15 minutes, 20 minutes each. It does take you 3 hours, but you can do it in bite-sized pieces if you really want to get back to the facts, because the thing about the film is there's a huge amount of information in the film, and it's almost impossible to take it all on board. It's just too much. And so if you go to the website, you can actually digest it in small pieces. So the first one is to be well informed. I think secondly, you need to look at what's happening in your local community to prepare. So are there flood plans? Are there emergency plans? Are there places of safety? And if not, to think about how you engage with your local community to find out about that. So I think, one is to be informed, two is to find out what's happening locally. And thirdly, I think to look at your own situation, prepare your own emergency plan. And in fact, we've just produced a booklet, which Pippa's just given me the copies of, which is going to be free, which is available and probably would be available at 10 hours. And it's just a simple guide of the practical things you can do as an individual, about getting an emergency plan, about getting a grab bag so that if you need to leave your property in an emergency, you've got all the essentials with you. So we're producing this booklet. So that's the third thing, get ready.
I mean, maybe we do have a building, obviously, at Chinoeth. I mean, maybe we should consider that in a dire emergency, we would be available to open that building for anybody, really.
Yes. It needs to be buildings that have got power. If they've got solar panels and the battery but you need actually a special battery that can then direct the power to people, so that they can charge their phones, they can keep warm, and there's community centres, churches, there's various places. In fact, at the thing I was at an event this week, and I was talking to a lady from Perranporth, and they've made their library into a safe space.
Yeah.
And it's sort of identifying what your local community needs and where the best place is.
Well, we were lucky, actually. During the storm, we actually have a power pack, so which my other half had done. And so we didn't go without electricity. We ended up with my daughter staying for the weekend, but we actually had electricity from our power pack that he'd put into place. So we were really lucky, and it's well worth having something like that in an emergency.
Yes.
We could do our phones, we had some light, and it was actually very, very good. So it really is something that we can do ourselves, really, is to make sure we look after ourselves and the people around us, really.
Yes.
If there's anyone, that you think might need some help in those.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, next door to me, the tree came down in their garden. Now, he lives abroad most of the time, so I thought I was going to have to ring India to say the tree had come down, but actually I managed to get hold of a local person because it had wrecked the whole of the fence. It was a very large tree that had come down, so it's just looking out for each other, isn't it, in an emergency?
It is. Yeah, I mean, our neighbours actually had the power line come down into their garden and set their cellar light. And they thought their house was going to be on fire. And these are things that you don't expect, you don't plan for. And that's why people say, well, we're safe where we are. We're not get flooded. We haven't got any trees to come down. But there's all sorts of things that can happen. And I think we all need to just start focusing on being ready just in case. Yes. Because when it actually happens, it's too late.
I think you're right, Mary, that sort of like it is these we've had within sort of like a period of perhaps 4 months such wide varieties of weather, such extreme weather, that it is really it focuses us on how worrying this is and how much we need to take action. I just think this. The time you're taking, the work you do with EMPA and the climate ambassadors to raise awareness of these issues is so valuable. And I think, we all really, really appreciate what you do. And I know, at the Royal Cornwall Show, there was an awful lot of interest in the work you're doing. So it is obviously something that's people are very well aware of. And thank you for taking your time today, Mary, because it's been really interesting hearing again about this film and reminding us about the issues that were brought to our attention. I know that you're looking to welcome new members to the Climate Ambassadors. If anybody's listening to this and is interested in becoming a Climate Ambassador, can you just, before we close, share with them what the role involves and how they would get involved with that for you?
Yeah, sure. It's a national federation of WI scheme. So you do actually, to be an official, if you like, climate ambassador, have to join up through the national. But it's just a matter of contacting them. You don't have to pass any exams or anything. They just say, oh yes, you're welcome, and we'll give you supportive information. But what we've done in Cornwall is that we've formed a climate ambassadors group. There's 9 of us now, and we meet by Zoom once a month, and also in person twice a year. And anyone's welcome to join us, whether they're climate ambassador or we've got some members who aren't actually climate ambassadors and we call them climate friends, but they're just the same. They help us when we've got things, to do, help us on the stalls and so on. So basically, and I mean, if you want to join our group, you can join us. You can just email us. It's on climate@wicornwall.org.uk. So I'm sure the office could give you the contact details. But as a climate ambassador, you can really do as much or as little as you want. And we just try to sort of support each other in our various projects. I mean, we write the Green Corner articles every month, and these are made, then we put them into Green Tips booklets, which we fundraised in order to give them away at events and to WIs. And I mean, we arrange stalls at events. We've been supporting the People's Emergency Briefings. And we've done quite a lot of craftivism, activism through crafts, like the Green Heart bunting we put around the marquee at the Royal Cornwall Show. So, there's lots of things that we get up to, and all ideas are welcome, and anyone's welcome to join us.
Lovely. Oh, thank you, Mary.
Yes, thank you, Mary. It's really interesting, and I think it is something, as a WI, we need to be more aware. I mean, we've actually sent off 8 boxes of bras yesterday, so we are doing our bit for recycling as well in that respect. So stuff isn't going to waste. We hope that is helping in some way by doing a recycling project. But thank you.
And talking about recycling, I'm looking forward to your event in September. Do you want to do a little plug about that, Mary, now, about the fashion show?
Yes, we're doing that with Oxfam, and so they're going to be supplying the clothes from, which have obviously been donated to Oxfam, and so we're going to have some talk on fast fashion, and then we're going to have the fashion show. And I'm not organising it. Jude Wood is, but as far as I understand it, we're also going to try and do a clothes swap so people can bring along clothes and we haven't quite. I don't think we've quite worked out the details of exactly how that's going to work yet. But the idea is basically it's secondhand September, and we want to encourage people to reuse or basically reduce what you buy is the most important thing, because consumerism is probably the biggest problem for everyone, but also to reduce what you buy and then to, as you say, reuse it, recycle it, whatever way you can, to avoid having to keep buying new.
If you go on to Facebook, Mary, onto events, I've done you an AI advert.
Oh dear.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, I've done an advert for the fashion show,
right,
mentioning Oxfam as well. It's on the events page of Facebook, so advertising your event. It looks quite good. I think.
We'll let everybody look at that on Facebook. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you. And I look forward to being a supermodel. I've never been one before.
I'm sure you will be a supermodel.
Thank you ever so much, both of you. After all, we're always here chatting together, but thank you, Mary, for joining us. It's been really, really interesting.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'll see you soon, if not at the fast fashion show.
See you soon, Mary.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.